Bienvenidos a Trascendencia en Acción. Soy la doctora Xochitl Yadira. En este podcast exploraremos el proceso activo de ir más allá de nuestras limitaciones personales, sociales y profesionales para alcanzar un nivel superior de comprensión y existencia. Únete a nosotros mientras discutimos estrategias y compartimos historias inspiradoras que muestran cómo la trascendencia se manifiesta en acciones concretas, llevando a un cambio real y significativo. Descubre cómo puedes trascender tus límites y vivir una vida llena de propósito y realización. Las opiniones expresadas por los invitados en este podcast son propias y no representan necesariamente la opinión de la doctora Xochitl Yadira ni de Trascendencia en Acción. Welcome to Trascendencia en Acción. I'm Dr. Xochitl Yadira. In this podcast, we explore the active process of going beyond our personal, social, and professional limitations to reach a higher level of understanding and existence. Join us as we discuss strategies and share inspiring stories that demonstrate how transcendence manifests in concrete actions, leading to real and significant changes. Discover how you can transcend your limits and live a life full of purpose and fulfillment. The opinions expressed by the guests on this podcast are their own and do not necessarily represent the views of Dr. Xochitl Yadira or Trascendencia en Acción. Hello, muy buenos días, tardes, noches. Bienvenidos a un episodio más de Trascendencia en Acción. And as is usual, I have an incredible guest. So today we're going to be doing this episode in English. So, you know I'm a woman in tech and I will always remind you, les voy a recordar que cuando se suba el episodio, por favor, a YouTube, usen las traducciones para que puedan entender el contenido. So with that, it's such an honor always having this incredible guest here. So today I have the pleasure of having with me a friend, Dr. Joe, who we're going to be diving a little bit more into his story and this movement that he started called Purpose Over Dreams, and we're going to learn a little bit more about it. But Dr. Joe, welcome to Trascendencia en Acción.
Yes. What's up? What's going on?
What's
How you doing? Just like you said, buenos tardes, buenos noches, wherever you are, right? But no, I appreciate you having me. I'm excited, and I'm from Milwaukee, you know. Yep. And let's get into it.
Yeah. And so you already heard the teaser. He does throw a little bit of Spanish, so we might do a little Spanglish here. So
I try.
Not shame on the game here. So tell us a little bit more about you. I had the pleasure of meeting you not too long ago, and I've attended some of the incredible sessions that you've led. Yeah. And man, you're such a powerhouse. So tell us a little bit more about you. You're from here, from Milwaukee. Tell us more for people that don't know you.
Yeah, so I grew up on 20th and Vienna. Right, 53206, and at one point they say that was the highest incarceration rate for black males, right, in that zip code. But you know, I always tell people there's a lot of great folks that come out of places like that as well. Not everything is bad, and so I'm always representing Milwaukee. But I think the biggest thing for me is I left my senior year during spring break, and I went to Atlanta, Georgia, and I had never seen so many black professionals in my life.
Right.
And I think that was the moment where I was like, right? And for me, being able to experience different things and expose myself and even expose other people to different opportunities and experiences, it opens your mind to the possibilities. So from there, you know, I was in college playing ball, worked out for some NFL teams. When that didn't work, I had to figure out life and ended up becoming a speaker, right? Wow. And so I've worked in K through 12. I've worked in corporate America, all of that. And, you know, for me, I remember just thinking one day, there's no way I was just born to pay bills and die, right? Wow. And ended up doing what I do. So now I mentally decapitate people all the way around the world.
I love that. Wow. Mentally decapitate.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I tell people that's just the art of really chopping off some of that negative thinking that folks have about themselves so that they can actualize who they're supposed to be and fully operate in their purpose.
I love that. Yeah. And I'm going to go back a little bit to something you said, right? And this is cliche and we've heard about it so much. When you live in an environment that is meant and that is built to not be thriving in a thriving environment, and that sometimes you're so limited to that, right? And when we hear this, like, you're a product of your own environment, that is so pivotal, and it's so true, right? And I share this because like I grew up on the South Side, and you know I was exposed to gangs, and I was the girl wearing the cholo, and I was like banging in the streets and getting into trouble, and it's so true until you have something that drives you and give you that awareness of like, wow, there's so much more to this.
Yeah.
But there's something deep down, to your point, that somehow, somewhere, life is going to show you, like, I'm meant for more than this, right?
Yeah.
When you talk about that and that exposure, do you feel like that was a moment that if you would not had moved and had exposure to that, would that had delayed what you're doing now? Or was that something that if it would not had happened, we would not be sitting here?
You know, I never really thought about it until you asked that. I don't know, right? I think that I was always the type of individual that I had the mindset of I wanted better, right? I wanted to make sure that when I had children, they didn't go through some of the things that I went through, right? Like my mother used to say things like, "Don't bring nobody to the house. The gas is off, right? The lights are off, right?" And and she worked. She was working, but at the same time, you feel like you're in survival mode, and when you're in survival mode, my mind, for most, at least from my experience, most people think it's entertainment or sports. I went the sports route, right? Or what some of the other homies was doing, right?
Right.
But they end up locked up or dead.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think that exposure in Atlanta really put the booster pack on my back to say, keep thinking how you thinking, you're in the right direction.
Yeah. And I love that because I feel, especially for professionals like us that are already in this movement, it's so important to not lose track of that and always remember that we were those kids one day.
Oh, yeah.
And we need to continue passing it on. And whenever I have opportunities, whether it's my children or their friends or somebody else, I always tell them, like, come with me, like come see what this world is about and then make a decision if you want to continue in this path or not. So I love that.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about after that happened, right? You finished your career. When was the moment and what happened then? You said you were in corporate America, you dived into tell us a little bit about that journey.
Yeah. So I'm going to go to coming out of high school. I didn't have the grades to go. I got a call from a Division I college. It was Purdue to play football. And I told them my grades. And I was like, well, I guess you're not coming here. So I had to go to a community college first, which there's nothing wrong with that. And I think what's most important is some people don't understand the power of community college, because when I went to a community college, I really took some of the same classes I took in high school, but it gave me the confidence that I can actually make it in college, right? And so I went there to a community college to play football, ended up playing basketball. Oh. Right? And they actually cut me. A lot of people don't know this. They cut me from the football team. And I'm like, no, they didn't cut me. Right. And I was killing, but they cut me. They wanted me back, but I said, nope. Right. I had an ego. I said, I'm going to go play basketball. Yeah, you know what I mean? Right. Like you cut me and I was balling, but they had, it was people from Texas, Florida, Cali, and they think they the best in football. But anyways, ended up playing basketball. And those moments in my life when something gets taken away from you, when you know you're really good, it messes with your mind.
It does.
Right. It messes with your heart. It messes with your confidence. And I remember calling my mother, my grandmother, and they just said, just stay at it, get to it. You know what you've been born to do. And so I played basketball, ended up transferring to play football, ended up becoming one of the top players in Division II. When I was nominated for like the Heisman in Division II, the Heisman Trophy in Division II. It's called the Harlan Hill. Worked out for NFL teams after that. When that didn't work, I was like, damn, what I'm gonna do with my life, right? Because for a lot of people, what happens is their identity is caught up in what they do. Right. And so you see a lot of women, and I always tell people, I'm not a woman. I don't have the experience of a woman, but you see a lot of women where their identity is caught up in being a mom. Right. Their identity is caught up in being a partner. Right. Their identity is caught up in being a career woman. Right. Versus, no, who are you internally? Right. And when I had to figure out who I was, I had to release this identity of being just an athlete and figure out who I was internally. Right. And so in that moment, I remember seeing a speaker and I said, I like what he's doing. I think I want to do that.
You saw yourself there, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to go back to that moment because it's what you just said, the identity, right? I think we all, as humans, I think that I don't have the research here, but there says that we change who we are. Our identity transforms and morphs every 5 to 7 years. Which, if you think about it, it makes sense because that is the span time as we grow and we mature. You know, when life changes happen for whatever reason. And culturally, whether a woman, a man, or whatever gender, you know, people identify as, it is so crucial to understand that we are ingrained a cultural bias since a very young age in beliefs, in ways that we should behave, the things that we should be doing. And I love that, what you just said, right? Like, ask yourself deep down. And that is so hard to do when you have the moms, the uncles, the aunts, the environment. Again, going back to that to show you, how was that journey for you of going back and decapitating your thoughts in this moment for you?
You're right. You know, my father, even though my parents were divorced for almost 30 years, they ended up getting back together, which was interesting, right? But my father and my mother would tell me, always ask questions, right? Just if you don't know, just ask the question, right? And so I've never been afraid to ask a question. And I think what ended up happening for me was when you can't give me an answer, now I'm looking at you like, okay, right? And so I'm like, I'm missing something, right? That happened with me in church, right? Where people couldn't answer certain questions that I wanted to answer. And I was like, I'm done with church for a while, right? Love God. God is real. But like, I was just like, all right. But I've always asked questions, and those questions, I've always been curious. And when I look back, I've always been what I call now a strategic disruptor. Right? Right. And what that means is I'm not doing it to cause problems, but I'm doing it because oftentimes there's multiple ways to get to the end goal than what I've been taught. Right. I don't have to be what I've been given. I don't have to be what somebody says I should be. And so for me, I'm disrupting every single thing that in my heart I know should be disrupted. And people get mad at that when you ask the right question. People get mad when you don't do it how they do it. People get mad, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's because you're challenging the status quo. And we've talked about this, right? Like, I work in corporate America, and I've been through these transitions in my career because I'm the same. I'm the one that asks the hard questions. I'm the one nobody wants in the room because they know like something's gonna go the way that probably shouldn't go because I'm gonna be asking those tough questions. And they don't like that. You know, we call it, as you know, in corporate America, anyone that causes waves, they just want to get out of the way because, and in life, I feel like it's the same. And I don't know about you, but based on your experience, one of the hardest things that has happened for me as I've gone through my transformation journey has been when you ask those tough questions to the people you love, when you ask those questions to the circle that you think you belong to, and then it becomes like, this shit ain't normal. Like, this is not normal. You think it's normal. I'm sorry, but it's not normal to me anymore. Whether it's a behavior, whether it's a belief, whether it's a spiritual calling, whatever, right? And we've had this brief conversation, like the journey that I'm going with one of my kids right now, and everything that I was taught as a mom is like, now I'm like, what? This is my child, and I will love my child even if it's against the church and some of the beliefs. And I'm with you. I love God, and I'm very spiritual, but I parted ways for now because there's a lot of things that hurt more than help. How was that for you, and what would be your advice now that you've been in this journey for those that might be going through that, and asking and challenging and sitting with whatever that question is and being okay with that, but knowing that even your loved ones may not be in favor of that thinking. Now we're getting deep.
You know, I think I was blessed to have my grandfather, who was the pastor, and my grandmother, and they've ascended now. But when I had them in the physical, one thing I loved about my grandmother, she would talk to me about anything, even though she was always going to go back to the Bible, right? But she was open, right? And I've also had the experiences where people like, what? Like, you crazy? Or like, man, you think because you went to college, you know everything. I'm like, no, I'm just asking questions, right? And I had to really learn to be okay with people not understanding that the right question and a powerful question will create oftentimes a what's the word I'm looking for? It will create some complexity in the individual who you asked. It'll create some complexity in their mind.
Right.
And oftentimes people don't understand our minds are here to protect us. So we only want to think what we know, but when it gets challenged and something else comes, it's going against what we know, and we're like, wait. And so either you're gonna like, you crazy to the person that's asking you, or you might sit back and say, like I do, I didn't think about it. Right. And to have the ability to do that, you have to build that muscle, because all of us have things where either it's like this or I'm not rocking with you.
Right.
You know?
And I love that analogy because I get that all the time, especially sometimes by people I love and care for very dearly. That is like, I normally get that, here she comes because she's a doctora, or because she thinks she's all that. And I'm like, this wasn't my title asking you.
Right.
This was me as a human being asking you. And what I've learned is, well, obviously I don't get bothered now, but like to your point, because I've been through it enough that I built a muscle. But what it comes down to is like what you feel challenged by, or the scarcity mindset that we talk a lot about. It's more a projection of how you feel because I asked that question. Yeah. Not because I'm asking the question. Because whether you give me the answer or not, I'm going to be honest, it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
If I'm asking, I'm interested in what you have to say and the way you're thinking so I can understand you, but it may not impact me. It may not change the way I'm thinking or the way I operate. It will help me inform. And so I think there's a lot of value. And this is more for our audience, right? Like a takeaway is, I think a lot of the openness and being open-minded to learning and being open to questions like that, or even just anything in life, is what is your goal with being open? Do you want to learn and grow? Because we all know that's when the growing happens.
Right.
Or do you want to be just like, I don't care and move on, right?
Yeah.
Like, because either way, it's not going to make a difference if you're not willing to have it make a difference.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, like, I always have a authentic level of curiosity, right? And so when I ask questions, sometimes I want to hear most of the time I want to hear what people have to say, because once again, I talk to anybody. I don't care what you believe, where you're from. Like, people say some of the most amazing things and have some of the most amazing wisdom and knowledge, but we don't have conversations with them because they didn't grow up how we grew up. Yep. They don't have the same religion, same sexuality, all of this. And we miss out on the beauty of learning and knowledge, right? And so for me, I'm kind of at that point where I'm going to continue to ask my questions, but it's never coming from a place of just being I'm not going to curse on here, a butthole. You know what I mean?
You can.
Okay, be an asshole. You know what I mean? You know? Because it's never coming from there, and I just want people to know what the more questions that you ask, and it's coming from a genuine, curious place, the better the world would be, and the better you'll be.
Yeah, I agree totally. Yeah. So let's pivot a little bit about, right? Like, we're talking about part of the whole reasoning of finding your purpose is asking those questions, right? When did purpose over dreams then come to fruition after you saw yourself on that stage and you were like, I'm gonna be there one day?
Yeah. So I tell people like this all the time. When you play ball, when you're an athlete, and it's coming to an end, you really have to figure out what's next, right? And it's a scary feeling. And when I was done, I just remember thinking, what am I going to do? Because there's a sometimes it's abrupt from an injury, but then sometimes it's, I didn't get picked up, and now your confidence is messed up. Sometimes it's, okay, I still have a chance, and you're like, I'm gonna give it one more go. And that's what I did. Then I said, you know what? It's not meant for me, move on. But what I learned was, because I dove deep into purpose, because what we hear growing up is dream big, follow your dreams.
Right.
And the reality is, you get a lot of people dreaming big and following their dreams, and they get to that end goal and they realize it has nothing to do with their purpose.
Right.
Right. And I tell people, and I think I share with this when you heard me speak, I think, I love Justin Timberlake, Michael Jackson, Beyonce, all these singers. I would love to be on stage singing, right? I have the big dream of being on stage singing.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is what? I can't sing.
Right.
I don't care how many lessons I get, right? I mean, I can hold a little tune, but I will never get to that level, right? And so there's a difference between dreams and purpose. And when you look at the fundamental definitions, the fundamental definition of dream is thoughts or ideas that may or may not come true. Purpose is the reason for which something or someone exists. To me, there's a spiritual connection to that word purpose. And there's too many of us that operate outside of our purpose. And I tell people, you don't find your purpose. You don't discover your purpose. Your purpose is already here. You actually unleash it.
Right.
But the world, your parents, teachers, society, it takes you away from what you know you should be doing.
Right.
Right. But if you never tap into the initial layer of your purpose, you will never get introduced to the levels of your purpose.
And this is where we talk a lot about you're just going through the motions, you're just filling a role, you're just doing what society tells you to do, be a dad, be a mom, be a worker, be whatever you have to be. I'm going to go back into something you said, and I will love your thoughts on what is the difference between purpose and passion then? Because, passion oftentimes, and I've heard this a lot about, follow your passion, find your passion.
Yeah.
And you just made me think, because I'm like, yeah, I guess that would be the equivalent of like passion and dreaming, right? I can have passion about so many things, but what is that deep down, and how does that then relate to purpose?
Yeah. When I think about passion, well, first thing, let me say this. What I started to do is I started to go and look at like the root. What do these words mean? Right. Because too often we're having conversations with people, and in your mind, it means one thing. In my mind, it means another. And we were missing each other, right? And so without looking up the definition of passion, when I think about passion, I just think of something that you really, really like, you really, really love, right? Once again, I love music. I love, but that's not my purpose to do that. You can
be passionate about
I could be passionate about it, right? And I could love it. And maybe even do something in the vicinity. Maybe I'm in the background. I'm learning how to record people, right? Yeah. Maybe. But in terms of being that singer, as much as I love live music, that's just, it's not my purpose. It's not. And I know people that are like, man, I got to get to the studio. And I'm thinking like, bro, your friends ain't told you can't rap and you can't sing? Like, what's going on? Right? You wasting your money and wasting your time.
Yeah.
However, I never want to exclude anybody from doing something that they love. Right. So maybe it's just a hobby and they willing to put in the money. Cool. Do that. Right. But when it comes to really operating in your purpose, it's something you have to think about. That's why I never tell people don't dream. I just say, put your dreams in context. Right. Because you may have this big dream of whatever it is that you want to do, but then you got to start looking at those little pieces that actually create who you are and what you're doing in this world. And sometimes we don't do that. We just go full forward, what we passionate about, what we dreaming about, and we get there. It has nothing to do with our purpose.
Yeah, no, that's deep. And so when did Dr. Joe started uncovering his purpose?
Oh, very, very easy for me. I could talk about it now. It's very easy. But back then it wasn't, right? One of the things that I did that a lot of people don't do is I try things, right? So I'll give you a great example. When I was in graduate school, I thought I wanted to be a principal. And I found a principal. I said, hey, I want to come shadow you for a day if possible. They said, cool, come through. I went there. Within the first hour, I said, oh, hell no, I do not want to be no principal.
I have to ask, what kind of school was it?
It was a middle school. It was a middle school.
Dude, you start with the worst.
Man, Oh, listen, but in that moment, I said, it took me an hour to say, I don't want to do this.
Right.
So for folks who want to be a surgeon, they want to do hair, they whatever they go try it,
right?
And get the feel, because it might take you just a half a day, right, to be like, nope, this isn't what I want to do.
Yeah.
And one of the first things I tell people when you're trying to figure out what it is you want to do, write down all the things that you know you don't want to do.
Right.
That eliminates a lot in your mind.
Oh,
right?
I like that.
And then the things that you want to do, go try it. Then you can eliminate from there, right? But the part about purpose that I think people miss too much is that your heart and your soul is gonna tell you when this is it, right? You're gonna feel it. It's something spiritual. It's something magical about when you're operating in your purpose, and it comes easy, right? People come like, "What, Dr. Joe? How do you just go on that stage?" I'll be like, "I don't know. I just go have fun. I just talk. I just do what I do, and I can't necessarily explain it. And it's an art form. Everybody can't do it. That's why there's so many people out here like, I'm a speaker, and I'm like, all right, you messing it up.
No, you speak.
Yeah.
You're
you talk. No, you talk. Look, I tell them, I say, you talk, but you don't speak. There's a difference. This is a profession.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But, I don't like to knock folks.
Yeah. No, I'm the same. It's funny because and I've said this a lot, even in Spanish, when we do a lot of our transmissions, like anybody can do those things and get on stage. And we've had a couple guests that are, artists. Yeah. And what you transmit on a stage and what you communicate to people and then make you move them and you make them feel, that's what makes a true talented person. Yes. It's not some like anyone can come and sit in this chair and follow a script or do this or do that. And it's like, you don't get it. Like, to me, that's exactly what you're talking about. Because I get the question, like, why are you doing this? What? And I'm like, I'm not doing it just to do it. Mm-hmm. I'm doing it because when I do it, it's a learning for me as well. Yeah. And to me, it's pouring back, giving a space for people to learn from others that have gone through that. And maybe accelerate the process a little bit for our younger generation too, But I love that. Yeah. So.
Wait. I'm going to give you an example. Yeah. I'm going to give you an example, right? Like, I've been doing this so long. Like you can cut it on and off, right? But it's in me. It's not like I've had one workshop I went to in terms of training as a speaker. That's it. And it was about telling your story. But like, people don't understand, like, it's not just what you're saying, but it's how you're saying. Yeah. Right? Like the power when you stare somebody in their eyes, right? When you look at them. Yeah. Right? But people don't understand, right? But you got those motivational speakers right? Like, that's why I say I'm not a motivational speaker. Yeah. I tell people I'm a master communicator. But what's most important, you got to know how to educate, entertain, motivate, inspire all at the same time. Yeah. And have fun with it.
It's a virtual, and you have to, in Spanish, we call it, I don't know, I don't want to say it in a bad way, but it's like you're like the multi-dimensional, multi-purpose person, right, in the room that can do it all and can pivot. Yep. And I feel like I've been through so many motivational speeches, and I think one of the things that I'm always left is like I leave so pumped out, and then you go back to reality, right? And like 2 days, it's like I'm deflated and back to the same thing. That's true. And I love what you're saying because it's like you have to also go as an audience member and be open to, what am I going to get out of it? Yeah. And come back to reality before you leave. Because to your point, if you don't do that, then you're just leaving on this dream versus trying to go like, let's be honest, most of the times we go to a conference like that, we go for a reason because we're trying to find our purpose. We're trying to find what's my calling? Why am I doing this? But I don't think we ask those questions before we even go to these places, right? And something I started even personally to do is be more intentional and saying no to a lot of things, because I felt like I was a yes woman, right? Like I would say yes for everything. And you probably get this a lot too. Like I felt like I was starting to become a token of my community, like being the representation, being this. And I love doing that. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I love being that because there's a lot of power in being that and getting that role modeling for others. But it taxes you at one point. For sure. And then it diminishes, what is your purpose? Why am I doing this, right? And I think part of what we have to do in life is also ask those questions constantly. Why am I doing it? Yeah. And take us back into that a little bit, because you said something as you were going through this journey and finding out your purpose was asking those questions, going back to where we started, asking those questions. How do you know when you're aligning, when you're getting closer to that purpose? Because let's be honest, a lot of the things we do in life, I'm going to dare to say, and I don't have those numbers statistically, but maybe you do, there's a very high percentage that we go through life thinking or believing that everything we do is somehow aligning to the end goal purpose, and it's not. Right. So when did that start happening for you?
Yeah. I like to look up numbers, and one research study said about 52% of Americans are unhappy at work.
Mm-hmm.
71% are disengaged while they're at work.
Yep.
And another 60% are actively looking for a new job while they're at work.
Oh, yeah.
That should tell us something, right?
Yep.
It should tell us something. And so for me, I started to just ask myself, like, okay, you don't like it here. I remember sitting in my office when I was working in the schools, and I was like, I love my kids.
You
right?
were traumatized after that hour.
But because my background is counseling, right? And I've worked in the
Okay.
schools as a school counselor. But I remember being in the schools one time. And I knew I wasn't going to be principal, right?
Yeah.
But I was in the schools, and I was just sitting there like, yo, I love my kids, but this ain't it. This ain't it. And I really had to start to pay attention to my body, because your body speaks to you, right? If you wake up and you're like, oh, damn, again, your body is telling you, you might need to figure out why you feeling like that, right?
Yep.
If you overeating, over drinking, right? Overworking out, your body is telling you something. There are signs that's telling you, hey, pay attention to your body. Are you out of alignment? What's going on right now? And too often what we do is we keep pushing, right? And I understand that we have bills to pay and things like that. But what I also understand is my peace is probably the most powerful thing that I can seek to gain outside of my purpose.
Wow.
And if I'm not operating in a life, not a career, in a life that creates peace for myself, I will be frustrated, stressed, and hurt, and I won't be living the life that I actually want for myself.
Yeah, and that's so important because, again, we talk a lot about mental health. And one of the things that I feel has been, for me at least, transformative, and I'm in this journey myself, I'm very like gut feeling, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, like something's just not sitting right.
Yeah.
Whatever it is,
Yep.
like I'm very intuitive.
Yep.
And I can tell when I walk in a room and something like the energy, I'm big in energy, and I can just tell, or if I'm around some certain
Yep.
people and I have to like walk away, my body reacts
For sure.
immediately,
Yep.
whether it's the slightest things, right? And it's interesting because a lot of times, to your point, you ignore those signals. And then it's not just in that frustration or the anger. It turns into so much more than that. It's this outburst. Then somehow it starts piling up, and then you lose it, whether it's at work with somebody because something triggered you, or if you're a parent with your children, which is not their fault. And then here we go again, talking about this generational traumas, going back to the environment that you came up with. And it's important to pay attention to those things.
Yeah.
How did you start tackling that?
Man, you just hit a lot. Because, I think about the times where I had to apologize to my children because I went off on them, and it had nothing to do with them.
Right.
Right. I went off on them because maybe I was having issues in a relationship at the time, work at the time, like just frustrated with yourself. Right. And somebody can be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yep.
And because I'm fed up, I react to them in a way that I typically wouldn't react.
Right.
Right. And when you're trying to really find yourself and find that flow and that peace, there's a few things that happen. Number one is you have to actually do work instead of just talking about it, right?
Yep.
What does that mean? You might have a business coach, you have a therapist, your spiritual life. You have to do the work for yourself, right? Number two, you will not always have the same people around you. I call it the 4 Ps. You are a product of the people you place in your presence. Some people will no longer be in your life at some time, right? That when you're really trying to recreate, right? And number 3 is your actions become different. And people will say things to you like, oh, you're changing. You acting funny. And in reality, no, I'm evolving.
Right.
Right. And so it's important for us to remember when we're creating flow, remember those 3 things and be okay with not being around the same people, because there's an expiration date on loyalty.
Yep.
Right. I'm sorry. You might be my family. I love you. But if you are not benefiting me, right, or if I'm not benefiting you, we don't need to be around each other.
Right.
Right. And I'm not saying taking things from you, but you should up-level me and I should up-level you, whatever that is, right? I shouldn't be around you causing issues in your life. You shouldn't be around me causing issues in my life.
Mm-hmm.
We should make sure that this thing is reciprocal and we're taking each other to the next level.
Yeah, I love that because, and I've gone through this. I've shared a little bit of that personal journey, especially when it comes to your children, right?
Yeah.
Man, I think like, I feel like as especially as adults, right? We can, and I'm an expert at like tuning people out and not being bothered and be like, we can be friends right now. And if you turn around and you don't want to be friends, I'm totally cool with that, right? But when it comes to children, that touches me in every level. And I've had to like distance myself from so many people, so many friends that whether it's for political views or whatever, religious, and that hits very different. And it's a whole process. How was that for you recognizing this, these three examples that you just talked about in modern times right now, as you do a lot of these, coaching and you're helping people? One of the things that I have seen is, and I'm going to speak specifically, I know this is across every community, but specifically right now in the Latino community, we have this paradigm that is happening of your first and second generation. So first generation would be someone like me, right? My parents didn't go to college. I'm the first to graduate college. I'm the first to one. And then we have our children who are the next generation, the second generation. And what I've seen in our community is a lot of these young kids, and it's like, it's just appealing because it's like, whoa, the load of mental health responsibility and expectations that we have of the second generation is ridiculous because we're talking about that a lot of the first and second generation are still translating for their parents, are still making decisions for their parents, are still having to step into this adult role that doesn't even belong to them yet, whether it's for the language, whether it's and especially right now with all the political climate stuff, the ICE raids that are happening. What would you tell these younger generations to think about? What does that mean to them to protect their own mental health? And I'll give you an example. My oldest just graduated from college and she majored in psychology. And she's one of those friends that she's become the shoulder for a lot of her other friends. And I see how it really gets into her skin because she's passionate. She's that kind of friend that I'm there with you the whole way. And she's also very good at like, and I'm so proud of her because she's got her own therapist. Like I have my therapist and we talk, but I can see it coming to her in many dimensions, right? And I feel like I want to tell her, it is not your job to take on this load. And it is going to come to a point where you're going to have to be okay letting go of relationships, even if it's with your own mother, even if it's with your dad and saying, guys, I love you, but I need to take care of myself for now. What would you tell them? Because that is the hardest thing to do, especially for those younger minds.
My background is counseling, and I don't know if I believed in it until I started doing it. And seeing the power of it. And as I think about my two sons, I think about what am I doing right now as their father that they're going to have to go to therapy for later on in their life.
Wow.
Like I think about that. I don't know.
That's profound.
I don't know, right? And I always tell them, I'm doing the best that I can. And I apologize a lot to them. Because I think our parents, I don't know if they knew the power of apology, right? It was almost like you stay in the kids' place. Right. These are the adults. Those are the kids. What they say goes. And I'm realizing that my two boys, especially my youngest, who's 10, he asked the most logical, smart, like, that is a good question. And sometimes in the heat of it, I'm like, you little, dang, that's a good question, right? He'll say something like, and he has a little smart mouth too, but he'll say something like, well, you're telling me to be quiet, but why did God give me a mouth then? And I'm like, oh, that's true. That's a good one, right? But to your question specifically, the first thing is I try not to put a lot of weight on them But I know that I am unintentionally. When your parents go through a divorce, you don't know how your kids are going to go, right? You don't know how that's going to impact them later on. But what I vowed to do is to be super duper open and honest with them. And I'm not hiding anything from them, right? And so I told them, whatever it is that they need from me, ask me. I'm going to be an open book, even if it might hurt.
Yeah.
But we're going to be honest with each other. But I don't want them to take on some of the stuff that I feel like I will unintentionally put on them. Because they're going to take some stuff on. And then there's the new stuff with social media and all this, tech, right? Which,
oh my God.
And I love tech, right? AI, all of that. But they're taking on some new stuff that we didn't even have to take.
Right. Right. And that is so true. I mean, talk about real talk right there. I think one of the biggest challenges that I've had is finding that balance of how much to share, how much not to share, how much do I, and I was laughing when you said that, like, because I have the 10-year-old and man, I'm like, sometimes you're so smart, like you're too smart for your own damn good, because they do ask questions, talk about uncomfortable questions that even as a parent, it shakes you up because you don't think about it that way, but then you infuse technology and I don't know about you, but I sometimes feel dumb when I'm around them and then terminology comes up and I'm like, where the hell did you learn that? You should not know those things.
Right.
What do you mean? That's it's on TikTok. And then I'm like, let's talk about it. And then how do you find that balance? Also, because let's be honest, we can be a little behind for whatever reason either. And I'll be honest, like for me, one is age for sure. Like I'm behind in certain things and there's always this paradigm of like the generational difference. But it's also because I don't operate on those environments. I don't operate with middle schoolers. I don't operate with, people that have the lingo. And so I don't even know how to talk to them sometimes. Like I can't even get to their playing field. And so I have to go to I'm your mom. And so therefore you respect me. And how do you balance that in the same way we're still trying to ingrain them as a young age to find their purpose and find their alignment as they're doing that, right? Like, how do you do that?
I think the reality for all of us as parents, we won't get it right all the time, right? Like we have to know that we try our best, but we won't get it right. But also the number one thing for me is expose your children to as much as possible. Have conversations. Let them guide the conversation. Like there's times where we sit down and I'm like, ask me anything. What do you want to know? Right. And sometimes it's like, what? Like,
where you sure you want to go
right?
there?
You know what I mean? It's like, I can't believe you just asked me that, right? But it's a difficult balance. I don't even know if it's necessarily a balance, but I just think we have to be open to saying to ourselves as parents, we don't know everything.
Right.
Our kids might probably know more than we think they know.
Oh yeah.
Right. And being open to creating that relationship where they're not scared to come and talk to us, right? And I think that's the best thing I have for parents.
So you talked about decapitating us, as you're calling now, people out of their knowledge and whatever they think they know. How do you decapitate young minds and teach them that this is an okay process to change and evolve over time?
Number one, we want to be an example. I've realized I've been in so many places, from in elementary schools, college campuses, corporate entrepreneur events, speaking. And when I'm around young people, if you have not done, right, you can't just talk at them and talk to them if you have not actually done it.
Right.
So I'll bring receipts sometimes. Like, hey, check out this check. And they're like, wait, what did you do? I spoke. They said, wait, what do you mean? I just got on the mic and this is what they paid me. And it's not to brag,
right? But
it's to show them that there is a way. Like, I come from where you come from. So let me show you how to get there, right? And the other part is a lot of young people, they want to know how to make some money, right? Like, very clear. How do I make money? Because if you're in survival mode, if your family is struggling, they want to know how to make money and make money now. So if you can show them how to make money now, but also let them know now might not be tomorrow. It might be next year this time.
Right.
This is the process that you go through, right? This is that's why we talk so much right now about certifications, right? In the tech space, right? You don't got to go to college the whole time. Get you these certifications in AI and whatever tech. Get these certifications, and the world is changing right now.
Right.
Matter of fact, it's here.
Yeah.
So set yourself up. So these are some of the conversations that I'm having when I'm going around. Matter of fact, I told you I got to go speak in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Right. I'm talking about disrupting your life. I'm talking about making sure that you're aware of where the world is. Go get these certifications. Here's an opportunity with the partnership that we have where you can get certificate, right? And so it's so important to give them the game, not just talk about it.
Right.
Give them the game and the action steps to get to where they want to be.
Yeah. And I love that you say that, because a lot of people have this notion that we're going to sit here and talk about, like, go get a PhD.
Right.
And I always that is one. So I do a lot of coaching in the entrepreneurial world, and a lot of the women get intimidated even using ChatGPT for their small businesses. And I'm a huge proponent.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Use it. Don't be scared of it. As a matter of fact, I gave a speech last year at a huge entrepreneurship event in Chicago where it was all women, right? And women that are starting or women that are establishing businesses. Yeah. And I gave a whole talk about ChatGPT and again, decapitating and unleashing, this is what you should not be afraid of using it. And I'm still going through that process myself, because talk about new generations, they use it left and right.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, it's not about that you use it or not. It's how you're using it, when you're using it, and making sure that you're embedding your own thoughts and whatever it is you imprinted in the messaging, because there's a difference between letting it do it for you versus helping you. So as you're talking about this, I love that, because even one of the things that I've been telling the younger generations as well, to your point, if you feel like you want to be self-made, you go for it. You do not have to go to college and owe thousands of dollars, right?
Yes.
That's a system that we put in place. It was put in place that is not always working. It worked for me because I wanted to do it, right? But it may not work for you. Yep. And the knowledge you build it with experiences, with exposure, with making yourself, open to those opportunities, to your point. As you're talking about, something keeps coming to mind, the word legacy. And what you're saying is teaching people, and I'm going to say not even since a young age, but at any point in your life or your career, to not just think about what is your purpose in life, but what is the legacy you're leaving behind. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I would hope that everybody wants to leave a legacy.
I know this fly over here keeps right. You're fine.
It's probably getting some game.
I know. That's technology. I bet you somebody send a little fly.
Right. But I would hope that everybody is planning on, when I say planning, not just mentally, but actually planning, right? How to leave their legacy. And, for me, I think about brand, right? Because when people say your name, what do they think about? Right? When I'm gone in the physical, I'm no longer here. When they say my name, I want to make sure that it's man, he did a lot for this world, right? Yeah. But more important, legacy is when I'm older and my kids are older, my kids want to come and spend Christmas with me because they love their father, right? Yeah. They because that's what's most important, right? Is if you know how many people their kids don't like them because all they did was work. All they did was, and they don't know their parents like that. So for me, yes, I work hard, but sometimes I incorporate my kids. Like when I speak, my son's a rapper, dancer, artist. He's got on stage with me before, right? But I want to make sure that they can say, man, my father was a great man. My father was a great man. And then everybody else, my partner, she can say, I had an amazing man. People in the world, that was an amazing man. And I'll be okay. That's legacy to me.
Yeah, I love that. One of the things I always say is, I don't want to be remembered so much for what I did, but for what I made people feel.
There you go.
And to me, is beyond even just, to your point, like with my kids, right? It's like, I don't want you to remember, your mother for a title.
Yeah.
I don't want you to remember your mom for the things that she did or she didn't, because that's, to me, irrelevant. That was your experiences. I want to make sure that I leave an imprint on you for the things that I made you feel. Did I make you feel supported?
Yeah.
Did I make you feel seen? Did I make you feel loved? Was I present enough? Because let's be honest, right? Like, we're workaholics and we get embedded on the day-to-day. And oftentimes the ones that get the brunt of all of that is our children. And so I think that's really, really important and impactful. So going back a little bit into this whole purpose over dreams, I mean, that's a big legacy, right? So as you're going and you're disrupting and you're decapitating knowledge, I'm going to stick with that word now. It's strong, but I want people to get it in the right context. What is purpose over dreams for Dr. Joe today? Yeah. Everything you built and everything you're learning and everything this journey has brought you up to this. What is purpose over dreams to Dr. Joe today?
Yeah, I think it's kind of what I shared earlier in terms of my initial layer of my purpose was seeing that speaker and saying, I want to do that. Started there. And then I kept getting introduced to the levels, right? And so I've done television, right? I've written books. Right. I've been in rooms where people are like, how'd you get in the room? Right. I've seen checks. I don't claim to be rich or nothing like that, but I've gotten paid for, like, why am I getting paid this? Right. That's and there's other levels that are coming. For example, we have a wine and cupcake lounge that just opened up. Right. Who would have thought doing something like that? Right. You know what I mean? But that's what I mean by there's levels to this thing. Right. And I am pretty sure my next level, it might be something that I have no idea what it's going to be, but I've been playing in this text and AI space. Like I made that pivot last year, right? And I'm like, I wonder what's going to happen. And so for me, it's all about the level up. So purpose over dreams for me right now is I'm moving to another level and I'm excited about it.
That's awesome. Yeah. So talk a little bit about how do you feel about this whole concept of work-life balance? How does that come to play into purpose over dreams?
I don't know if there's a such thing, right? If there's let me say why, because there are times where you have to go hard, right? You got to work, you got to get it in. And there are times where you need to play. For me, I hope that the majority of my life, I can create whatever I want to create. What does that mean? I wake up almost 6 days a week. I go to the gym. I work out. I go in the steam room. I do my little prayer. I do my little meditation. But for me, I've created a life where I choose what I want to do, right? I will never, ever have something take so much out of me in terms of a job or a career. It sucks so much out of me that it's impacting every other area of my life. Right. I've been there, done that, right? So for me, work-life balance means create what it is you want to do, but it does not mean there won't be days where you have to go hard and longer hours. It just means you better be mindful that those long days aren't 7 days a week.
Yeah.
You know, so that's how I look at it. And spend time with the people you love.
Right.
Bottom line.
But quality time.
Quality,
because we talk a lot about that. I was in a conversation recently with a friend, and we were talking about this whole concept of time, just time in general. Like, man, you look at your kids, man, they're growing up so fast. You like for me, my parents, I'm going to take a trip very shortly to Mexico because, man, it hit me recently. Like, man, they're aging.
Yeah.
I don't know how much longer I'm going to have them around, right? And then the illnesses start coming out. And it's like this realization of like time is the most precious things that you have.
Yeah.
And it is the one thing you will never get back. You can get money back because money goes, money comes. You can get experiences. But time is the one thing you will never, ever, ever get back. Yeah. And it has hit me very differently most recently. And so when people ask me about, this whole concept of work-life balance, I think back and I'm like, I don't think there's such a thing as work-life balance.
Yeah.
It's all of it. It's integrated. And I love what you just shared, because you have to make it work for you, for your people. Because again, in terms of time, even quality time, what does that mean to you? What you were saying earlier, what quality times means to you will be completely something different for me.
Yeah.
And I go back and forth in this, and I always laugh because like my husband and I, we just don't see eye to eye when it comes to this. Like for him, quality time is one thing. And for me, quality time, like I can be present, full on present for 30 minutes and give you all of me for 30 minutes. It could be a deep conversation, could be a nice dinner. It could be maybe nothing, maybe just holding hands. For me, that's quality time.
Yeah.
And for him, it might be something completely different. I don't get into details, right? It's like a 5-minute intersection.
Hey, I met your husband, know your husband a little bit. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. But no.
But you know what I mean? And then for your children, the same. Like for my youngest, I can tell you, he's like, we never spend quality time. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
We go playing sports. We do all these family things. But for him, quality time might be more like, I want to just be with you, Mom. I just want you to hold me and hug me for like maybe 5-10 minutes and do nothing else, right? So I want to challenge people, because when we talk about this whole concept of, personal life work balance, really think about what does that mean to you? And this, what you just explained, part of finding purpose and living in that is that, like, make life work for you, not work to make a life.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of differences when it comes to that. And so, I appreciate that thought.
So a couple of things. First thing, because you just said so much and my mind starts to work. Sometimes my son, my youngest, he just wants me to sit with him and watch him play video games. That's it. Just watch me play video games. Yeah. When they were little, both of them, watch this cartoon, the same cartoon over and over and over. I used to be like, but they just wanted you to sit there. I know this episode. You know what I mean, right? But I want to go back real quick, and I got to ask you a question. Because you talked about going to Mexico. Your parents or parent?
Both.
They live in Mexico. How old are they?
That's a great question. 70s.
70s. That's cool. Yeah. That's cool. And we have an exact number. How many times a year do you see them? Quality time. See them.
And that's I think the part that hit me, right? So long story short, they live here, and I think a lot of it I know, and I posted on my social medias. I think it all stirred up because I've been very vocal and I've been present on all of the marches that have been happening, the rallies. And this last one that I was part of, it was like a realization because it was about the No King's Day, right? Here in Milwaukee. And I was there and seeing a lot of the people present, the majority and a lot of them were elderly people present, fighting because of all the stuff that's been taken away from them. And it was a realization. They worked and lived here for 25 years here in Milwaukee. And about 5 years ago, I kind of feel like I pushed them to go ahead and retire to Mexico. And my parents and I, we were so close. Like we saw each other every day. They helped us with the kids. And so that created a super huge void because part of that, and a lot of people don't know this, and they don't have papers. And so my dad, well, they have their green card, but when they left and they started aging, the whole traveling back and having to stay here 6 months at a time, it just didn't work. So they ended up losing everything. So they didn't have papers. They can't come back. And so it's been more hard because now I go to Mexico whenever I can and whenever I can be there. So when I think about reflecting what quality times for me was, I took for granted those 30 minutes where they will go pick up my kids and we would just have that conversation or going to their house on Sundays and just doing nothing because my mom made food in the morning and we're just chilling doing nothing. Or I will call her and be like, Mom, I'm going to the store. Can I pick you up? You want to go with me? Yeah, Mija, pick me up, right? And so to me, when I think about it, I'm like, damn, those were really good quality times that I took for granted. Or my mom going on walks with my kids and the last 5 years, like even my youngest goes like, man, I miss grandma. Right? So when I think about that, I never had quality time growing up with them because they were workaholics. But in the essence of what quality time meant to me, now I'm like, man, those were really good moments that I will never have back. Right? So I think that's, to me, it was more of a realization, like they didn't know what quality time meant.
Right.
But now, me as a person, I value those moments.
Yeah.
So probably took you on a tangent there.
No. I think that's very important of what you just shared, because a lot of people don't know, but my dissertation for my PhD was the experiences of undocumented Mexican students with school counselors, right? And so I was able to learn a lot from my students who were undocumented and their parents, right? And those stories a lot of people just don't know, right? And I think in the U.S. there's this misconception that it's only our Mexican brothers and sisters. I'm like, nah, it's some everybody, right? But one, it sounds like you have some internal stuff about.
Oh my God!
Yeah. I feel that. Yeah.
It's moving a lot.
yeah. And so, do you have a number of how many times you see them per year?
Probably less than 2 right now.
Less than 2. Okay, cool. So we'll go with 1, right? They're in their 70s. I think the average age for men is like 76. For women, it might be 82, something like that, right? So let's just say they're both 75, right? If you were to look at your father, looking at data, if it was 76, you have one more time to see your father.
Right.
Your mom, right?
Yeah.
You see where I'm going.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
It is. And again, I think the realization, and even my husband and I have been talking about this, because like my parents worked their asses here, literally, and I will get so mad because I would never see them.
Yeah.
They literally, that was one of the reasons I forced them almost to retire, because they used to clean, and they used to have their own small business cleaning houses, apartment, offices. And it just hurt me so much seeing them working even Sundays just to make a living. And I'm like, Mom, Dad, you guys don't have any kids anymore. They were just workaholics. Right. That's all they knew how to do, right? Yep. But they were healthy. They were working out in a way, right? They had a life. And the minute they retired, oh man, all these illnesses, because they don't have nothing to do. And not only that, they were paying taxes. They were law-abiding citizens. They were doing all the things right, giving back to the community, never took any benefits. And they didn't qualify for nothing when they retired. Yeah. And they didn't talk about planning and leaving a legacy. They never had a 401k. Yeah. They never had any savings. And so whatever little they were able to like save over the years, they blew through it like the first couple years. So my brother and I support him now. But I think it was a big realization also of, man, life is so fragile.
Yes.
To your point. And now, like, you know, my dad actually, one of the reasons we're going is because he's having kidney failure. Okay. And so that you put that into perspective, what you just said, I was like, you don't know what that means at this age. And in Mexico, the systems, you know, health-wise is like, if you have the money, you pay and you get taken care of. But if you don't, man. And so it's all these things coming at, you know, like, value in life. And I think now is really even personally hitting more like, what is your purpose in life? And it's taken me like full circle, right? So I love everything you share, because purpose over dreams. And I put on my social media, this was their dream. Yeah. Their American dream was coming to the U.S. so my brother and I could have a better life. Yeah. So I fulfilled their dream in a way, if you will, right? Because they're so proud and they see me now and I know that. But that was not their purpose. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And now I'm like, shit, I'm doing the same thing. I'm living their dream, but am I finding my purpose? And am I now passing that on to my children? And am I now helping others to do the same, right? So I love everything you're sharing, because I think part of what we're missing is telling people that constantly, what is your purpose? And how do you find it, right? Like that full circle on things. I could just talk about this all day.
I mean, but it gets deep when we begin to think about, you know, who we are, our parents, right? But what I will definitely say is, you know, a lot of times we talk about purpose in the context of careers, but I also think about it as just life purpose, right? Like, my purpose is to treat everybody with love. Right. My purpose is can I help you? Like, anything that I can do for you, my purpose. Right. And so as a parent, my purpose is to make sure I'll tell you this, went to parent teacher conferences one time, and there was a a young student from Asia who didn't really know English, and my youngest son Carter, and he's just like me. He's tough. He's cool. He loves people.
Isn't that so cool when you can see the reflection of you on steroids?
Goodness gracious, right? He's me 2.0. But the most beautiful thing that was said, not that, oh, he's a good student, he's doing good grades. Carter always sits with this kid and talks to him all the time. He makes sure he's okay. So the young student came to my son's birthday party, and his parents was just like, thank you. Carter is just, and for me, hearing a teacher say my son is looking out for somebody, that was the most beautiful thing. So I feel like for me as a father, I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
You know?
No, and you hit there. I think when I was talking about my oldest, that's exactly the feeling that I get. Like, I am so proud because each one of my kids, so I have the 22-year-old, the 18-year-old, and then the 10-year-old, and each one of them has always played a pivotal role in one of their friends' life that sometimes it has even been like a life-saving moment.
Yeah, I bet.
Like big, right? But it also scares me as much as it makes me so proud because, again, of that mental load, right? Because you also want to be careful to also coach them and make sure that help them to help the others, right? Because it's a tough one. But that was a really great way to put it, because when people tell me, what are you the most proud about your children? I don't even know how to put it into words. And the way you said it is like, wow, that really made me think, because it's like, I'm not worried about their achievements because I know they will go places.
Yeah.
I'm worried about the humans they're becoming. And, you know, the world also scares me a little bit because of everything happening. And will they be able to save themselves from this crazy world that we have? And how do I help them with that, right? That's amazing. So we're coming to an end here, but one of the things that I want to make sure that we don't leave without talking about is, I know a lot of the things that you talked about is obviously helping people disrupt their mindset. What would you say are some of the most common things that you see in today's environment that are blocks on the mindset of people that don't let them pursue their purpose and seeing more than they can be?
Yeah. The first thing that comes to mind is we're worried about how everybody else sees us. Right. And I understand that we would like people to see us in a certain way, but oftentimes people are going to see you how they want to see you. Right? And so if you're worried about how other people are seeing you, sometimes you're catering to the view of what you're trying to create for them, even though they're going to see you however way they're going to see you. So what that means is, stop worrying about what everybody else is thinking. And guess what? Even though I know that, there are times where I have to get kicked. Like, you the one who talk about, I'm like, man, you're right. So I need to take my own advice, right? Because we forget that sometimes, especially when it's the people that we love or the people that we care about, and we want them to see us a certain way. But once again, they're going to see you based off how they see you from whatever it is that they've been through, right? And so that's the first thing. Stop worrying about what everybody else is thinking. And number two, discernment. Become one with who you are, your soul, right? When I said your soul speaks to you, your body talks to you, listen. Listen, right? When we don't listen, we end up in bad situations, right? Listen, right? So stop worrying about what people are thinking about you, saying about you, and really learn yourself. Really learn yourself, right? And then the last thing is, stay open. Talk to people who are different than you. Travel. Go get experience that are different than what you're used to, right? Read podcasts, right? Feed your mind. Do not be afraid to learn about something that's different than what you've known your whole life.
I love that.
That's it.
I love that. And especially even here in we call it small walkie. There's so much to do. And sometimes we stick to our little, hot house and like the people we know, like get out and explore and get, I love that. And I'm a huge, like I always say, I'm a social butterfly. And I think it's beyond that. It's not just about networking and going to an event. And I think that's part of what I become more intentional of, like, a lot of the events that I attend, it's always the same people talking about the same things. And I'm starting like, I need to broaden myself. Not because I don't love you guys. I love you very much, but this is for my own well-being as well, because you need to diversify, not just on the things you do, the way you think, but in order to operate and pour to others what you really are meant to be doing. So thank you so much. Well, I'm going to close this with...
Hold on. I want to make sure I pull these out for you.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I want to make sure.
So we have the camera here for those that are listening.
So listen, it might be a glare on here, but this is the College Kids. This is one of the only books about college for like elementary students. And if you see it and open it, one side is English, one side is Spanish. So you all make sure, check that out.
Para mi gente.
And this is my first book, Pursue Your Purpose, Not Your Dreams, right? Make sure you all check that out. And this is my latest book, which I consider, and I write intentional. So I make easy reads because when I was younger, if you had little words and it was too many pages, I wasn't reading it, right? So I make books that are easy to read. And this book almost has like 3 or 4 different mini books. Right. So I'm talking about all kind of stuff, how to find a therapist. Right. I'm talking about the 5 things I wish I knew before graduating college. So there's so many different things. And there's a bunch of resources in here in terms of if you want to get into this tech space, all kind of stuff. Right. Websites that you need to know. So just make sure this is called the Purpose Protocol, and it just dropped about 2 months ago. So anyways, I always got to give my books a little plug. You know what I mean?
Of course. and again, for my Spanish community, thank you. Gracias, Dr. Joe.
Yes, indeed.
I'm going to test you. ¿Cómo estás?
I mean, bien, that's easy, bien.
¿Cómo te sientes?
¿Cómo se sientes? Okay.
How do you feel? ¿Cómo te sientes?
See, that I will say, despacio. Then I'm like, I caught it. Fresco como lechuga.
Oh! Fresco como lechuga. Blessed. Bendecido.
Bendecido.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very blessed.
Yeah.
I'm very blessed. So,
and we're blessed to have you in our space.
Thank you.
Because I know that everything you do and everything you pour is with the best intentions. And thank you for thinking of our community. Obviously, we'll put pictures and the links to get these books. And I didn't even know you had this for kids.
Oh, yeah.
The college kids.
I'm trying to get this all around. I've had it for a while, and I want to get it in all the elementary schools because it also helps the parents know what they need to do.
Especially when we talk about our community, that sometimes, like, I went through my own struggles because I never had the guidance from my parents because they didn't know. They didn't know how to get there. So I'm going to close this off with this, and I would like you to finish this sentence.
Okay.
I'm most proud of
being able to wake up every single morning, think about what I need to do to be better, and put it into action.
Love it. Talk about trascendencia en acción. This is what I call transcending moments, when you're able to give so much to your community and pour so much back to your community. So thank you so much for being here with us. I know it won't be the last time. I hope it's not the last time. But for all of our audience, this was Dr. Joe Johnson. Any parting words?
Yeah, I'll just say, like I always in my keynotes. Which camera am I looking at? This one?
This one right here.
Like I always in my keynotes, you do 2 things in life. You evolve or you evaporate. Make sure you follow me at Joe Johnson Speaks. Go to purposeoverdreams.com. Take care.
Thank you. All right, mi gente. Well, this was one more episode of Trascendencia en Acción. Make sure you go to YouTube and use the captions to translate in Spanish for toda mi gente. We'll see you next time. It was a pleasure having Dr. Joe with us today. And check out the episode and the link to the book so you guys can get him. We'll see you next time. Adios.